That theme song. Don't even pretend you don't. Yeah, it's already playing in your head right now, isn't it? Hawaii Five-0 debuted in 1968 and somehow just stuck. 12 seasons. 12. That's not a TV show. That's basically a lifestyle. And for a lot of people who grew up watching Steve McGarrett slam his hand on a desk and bark, "Book 'em, Danno," it wasn't just entertainment, it was appointment television in the truest sense. But here's the thing. Behind all that sun-drenched Honolulu cool, there's a whole lot of weird, surprising, and genuinely strange stuff most people never knew. Today, we're counting down 13 weird facts you didn't know about Hawaii Five-0. Number 13. The show almost wasn't set in Hawaii at all. So here's a fun one to kick things off. When creator Leonard Freeman first pitched the concept, Hawaii wasn't necessarily the locked-in location. The idea of a state police procedural could have been set pretty much anywhere. But Freeman had a specific vision. He wanted somewhere visually distinctive, somewhere that felt almost cinematic without needing a movie budget. Hawaii had only become the 50th state in 1959, so there was still this novelty to it, this sense of, oh, this is America, but also not quite like anywhere else in America. And CBS went for it. Hard. The location wasn't just a backdrop, it basically became a character, which honestly was half the show's appeal. Number 12. Book 'em Danno was never in the original script.
Book 'em, Danno. Murder 1, 2 counts.
This one genuinely surprised me when I first came across it. The phrase that basically defined the show, the one every kid on every playground repeated for decades, wasn't pre-written catchphrase gold handed down from the writer's room. Jack Lord apparently just started saying it naturally on set, as a kind of shorthand to end scenes. And it caught on. The writers noticed audiences loved it, and it quietly became part of the DNA of every episode. It's one of those happy accidents that nobody planned and everybody remembers. Lord himself was reportedly a bit ambivalent about it later. Like, yes, it's iconic, but also, that's what you're known for forever. Number 11. Jack Lord had enormous, and I mean enormous, creative control. Jack Lord wasn't just the star. He was, depending on who you ask, basically a co-ruler of the production. He negotiated himself a producing credit and used it. Lord had strong opinions about how McGarrett should look, speak, move, dress, everything. He reportedly reviewed scripts, weighed in on casting, and was deeply involved in how Honolulu itself was depicted on screen. Some crew members over the years described working with him as, let's say, intense. Others were fiercely loyal. But the result was a lead character with a consistency you rarely see across 12 seasons because one very determined man was guarding that character like it was personal, which, for Lord, it kind of was. Number 10. The real Hawaii Five-0 unit doesn't actually exist. Here's the thing they never really advertised. The Hawaii Five-0 unit, this elite state police force McGarrett runs, is completely fictional. There's no equivalent in real Hawaiian law enforcement. The 5-0 in the title is actually a reference to Hawaii being the 50th state, not the name of any real division. Now, the show did work closely with real Hawaiian law enforcement agencies over the years, and officials were generally supportive of how the islands were depicted. But anyone who watched, thinking this was a documentary-style look at an actual unit, yeah, that unit was invented entirely for television, which somehow makes McGarrett's authority even more impressive, honestly. Number 9. The pilot was shot almost a full year before the show premiered. The backdoor pilot for Hawaii Five-0, which aired as a TV movie of sorts, was filmed in late 1967, but the series didn't actually premiere until September 1968. That's a long runway. During that gap, CBS was apparently still figuring out the scheduling, the format, how serialized versus procedural the show should be. The pilot itself has a slightly different energy than the series that followed. A bit more film noir-ish, a touch more experimental. Once the show got its weekly footing, it smoothed out into the format people remember. But that pilot is worth tracking down if you haven't seen it. It's almost like a different animal wearing the same suit. Number 8. It was filmed almost entirely on location, which was rare for the era. In 1968, shooting a network drama almost entirely on location, thousands of miles from Hollywood, was not normal. Most shows of that period were built around studio lots in Los Angeles, with maybe a few establishing shots. Hawaii Five-0 went the other direction almost completely. The production was largely based in Honolulu, and the location shooting wasn't just for atmosphere. It was central to the show's identity. CBS poured real money into making it work. And here's an interesting side effect. The show became genuinely good for Hawaiian tourism. The state's visitor numbers ticked upward during the show's peak years, and local officials were very aware of the connection. Television doing the work of a travel brochure, essentially. Number 7, the theme song, almost sounded completely different. Okay, so we need to talk about the music for a second, because this is one of those facts that makes you genuinely uncomfortable to think about. The iconic theme, composed by Morton Stevens, wasn't the only option on the table. CBS reportedly considered other musical directions for the show early on, something more traditionally dramatic, less propulsive. Stevens pushed for something with real energy, something that felt like motion, like urgency. What he delivered became one of the most recognizable theme songs in television history. It hit number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1969. A TV theme, top 5 on the pop charts. That doesn't happen. But imagine a world where someone said no to that song. I don't want to live there. Number 6. Wo Fat was originally only supposed to appear once. Wo Fat, McGarrett's recurring nemesis, played by Keeg Die, was written as a one-episode villain. That was the plan. One appearance, move on. But something clicked in that first episode, both in Die's performance and in the dynamic between him and Jack Lord. The writers felt it, the producers felt it, and Wo Fat kept coming back, season after season, appearing sporadically across the entire run of the show. He became the closest thing 5-0 had to an arch-enemy in the classic sense. And in the series finale in 1980, McGarrett finally caught him. 12 years of cat and mouse, all because someone decided not to write off a one-episode guest villain. Number 5. The show had a real influence on how TV depicted Asian characters. For better and for worse. This one's a bit complicated, and it's worth sitting with. Hawaii Five-0 was one of the few American network shows of its era that regularly featured Asian and Pacific Islander actors in visible, recurring roles. That was genuinely significant in 1968. At the same time, Wo Fat, the main villain, was played by Keeg Die, who was of Egyptian and British descent, in a role that leaned on some pretty familiar, mysterious Asian mastermind tropes. So the show was simultaneously ahead of its time in some ways, and very much a product of its time in others. It's one of those legacies that doesn't resolve cleanly, and anyone being honest about the show's history has to hold both of those things at once. Number 4. Jack Lord turned down the role of James Bond. This one gets talked about, and there's some complexity to it, but here's what's generally understood. Jack Lord was approached about playing James Bond ahead of Dr. No, in 1962. He was apparently very interested, but Lord wanted a percentage of the profits, not just a flat fee, and the producers weren't willing to go there. So it didn't happen, and Sean Connery stepped in and became, well, Sean Connery as James Bond. Lord did appear in Dr. No, though, as CIA agent Felix Leiter. So he's in the film, just not as the lead he apparently wanted to be. And then 6 years later, he was running Hawaii Five-0, which, depending on how you look at it, worked out pretty well for him. Number 3. The show quietly tackled real social issues before it was common. People tend to think of Hawaii Five-0 as a straightforward law and order procedural, and it was, mostly. But scattered through its 12 seasons are episodes that dealt with drug addiction, Vietnam veterans struggling to reintegrate, organized crime with real political dimensions, and racial tension. Not every episode, and not always with the nuance you'd want looking back. But for a network crime drama in the late 1960s and 1970s, the show was occasionally willing to go somewhere uncomfortable. There's an argument, a real one, that Five-0 was doing the groundwork for what shows like Hill Street Blues would do more explicitly in the 1980s. Different era, different execution, but not entirely disconnected. Number 2. It was one of the last shows CBS canceled, and the cancellation was controversial. By 1980, Hawaii Five-0 had been on the air for 12 seasons. It was still pulling decent numbers, still had a loyal audience, but CBS decided it was time, and the cancellation landed hard for a lot of fans, and by most accounts, for Jack Lord personally. Lord was reportedly devastated by the end of the show, and he withdrew fairly significantly from public life afterward. He gave almost no interviews in his later years and turned down reunion projects. Whether that was grief over losing the show, health issues that emerged later, or just a private man choosing to be private, it's hard to say. But the abruptness of the ending, after 12 years, left a strange kind of unfinished feeling that stuck around for a long time. Number 1, the legacy kept growing, even after Jack Lord was gone. Jack Lord passed away in 1998. The original Hawaii Five-0 had been off the air for nearly 2 decades by then, and yet CBS rebooted the show in 2010, and it ran for 10 seasons, 10 more seasons. So if you add those up, you're looking at 22 combined seasons of Hawaii Five-0 across 2 different eras of television. That's a legacy that most shows don't come close to touching. The reboot was different in tone, different in style, and didn't try to replicate Lord's McGarrett exactly. But the theme song was there. The bookum was there. And that connection to 1968, to that very specific version of cool that Jack Lord invented in the Hawaiian Sun, never fully went away. Some things just don't. 12 seasons of a show that wasn't supposed to work the way it did, in a location that wasn't standard, with a star who controlled his world like a small sovereign state, and it became something people are still talking about, still rebooting, still humming the theme song in grocery stores. Which of these surprised you most? Genuinely curious. Drop it in the comments. And if you've got a show you want me to dig into next, let me know. Until then, take care of yourself.